The SOOP Valorant League, or last year known as the Afreeca TV Valorant League, has returned this year to be one of the top off-season tournaments. Today we will talk about the 6 teams that were invited, their roster moves, and the 2 Southeast Asia teams that qualified via the open qualifiers. DRX, GenG, Talon Esports, Sentinels, NRG, Bili Bili Gaming, Made in Thailand, and Rapid Lofi. This is the Hater's Guide to SOOP Valorant League 2024. Oh brother, DRX has a new roster again. Last time we saw them, DRX had made an okay run at champions, but going back to the drawing board is confusing. I see we're on a bizarre journey to assign blame to the core members of Vision Strikers, and you know what? At this point, my bold prediction for DRX is that next year, they could miss literally every international event and Premmie would still not lose his job. Because I don't understand the idea of building up a roster and seeing them improve to the point to qualifying for champions and even making playoffs to then just release 3 of the members and starting from almost zero once again. I'm gonna keep it real, I have no clue who any of these guys are. For God's sakes, there aren't even pictures on VLR of these players. But honestly, maybe I'm to blame for being too much of a North American resident that mostly talks about Americas. Regardless, Flashback and Mako are still on this team. And what can I say about Mako that I haven't said before? The guy is insane and the right person to build a roster around. Flashback never really impressed me, but he retained his job, so he impressed Premmie and the coaching staff at least. Ethan is a player from the Challengers Korea, previously competing under Team Indigo, who won the World Cyber Games Challenger League Korea Split 1, try saying that 3 times, as a duelist, and yeah, he's pretty good. Freeing, on the other hand, comes from Rare Adam in China, who once again fell short to Bili Gaming at the Grand Finals of Ascension, with him being on a sort of smokes flex role. Hugh Min comes from VCL Japan, playing with Crest Gaming, who made the Japanese Grand Final in Split 1, but fell short in Split 2, and although they made it to playoffs, they got instantly eliminated. Him also being a duelist continues the bizarre DRX ideology of grabbing duelists and moving them to different roles. But what does this team actually look like? DRX played in the TenZ Invitational that happened not too long ago, and they looked okay. Of course, Mako is the smokes player, Flashback is on the initiator, and the same could be said about Athan, while Freeing is a Sentinel and Hugh Ming is playing the duelist. They made the playoffs and beat DRX, but against Talon in a best of 3, they couldn't take a map off of Premmie and company. I don't know what to think about this roster, other than cool, players from Challengers, and that's not a diss to the players, but there are other teams that I feel like are much more deserving of the hype than this ragtag group of players. Keep an eye out for them, but don't expect too much. It is Premmie making the decisions for this roster at the end of the day. Gen.G falling apart after the incredible year was what I was expecting. Because unlike most traditional sports, the ability to retain players who perform well in the previous year is non-existent in esports. Texter and Karon are back to lead this team, while Lakia, Meteor, and Munch— wait, what? Okay, Munchkin's back now. Regardless, the core of the team is here, and to be honest, it's nice. They still have their foundation. You still have your IGL, you have the best duelist in APAC, and arguably the smokes player that is on the level of Mako in Karon. But how have you remedied the loss of the Lakia of Valorant and what I thought was the foundation of the Gen.G roster in Meteor? Foxy9? Well, that was kind of underwhelming. Look, I know he has talent, but he could never shake playing in the shadow of the Vision Strikers core and never really rose up to take the opportunity when he was given it. Then we have Yoman, who does have some merit of being here, being part of Mogshim Red Force, a team that took Simprisa Gaming to the limits at the grand finals of the WDG Challengers Korea Split 2. I really see this team picking up as the contender they were last year. We can even see it by the TenZ Invitational that they're already beating some decent teams in FPX and Talon. Not incredibly high bar, but a bar nonetheless. Even at GES, they beat Trace and EDG. This tournament has a lot of high talent team, and this will be a good benchmark for this new roster to see what caliber they are. While I argue that the new additions are downgrades, not many players in the world would be upgrades to Meteor. Let's see how they handle some international competition. You mean to tell me that there's a team out there that hasn't changed their roster because of one mediocre season and is actually looking to build on the foundation that they worked on last year? Color me shocked, because I think Frost has stuck his neck out on the guillotine with this move. And you know what? I respect it. We have a lot of people in the scene already singing the praises and ushering in the Aspas of APAC and Premmie. And you know what? I'm here for it. Much like the previous teams we discussed, Talon also played in the 10 Invitational, falling short at the Grand Final. But who cares about a Mickey Mouse tournament? What do you think about this tournament? I don't know. I don't really think they stand a chance against NRG, Sentinels, or Gen.G. I can respect the notion of wanting to keep your team from the previous season, but not one change? I thought the off-season would be an excellent time to make a move, since Scary had been proven to be a great player, and I think he would have fit in this team perfectly. Maybe even allowing some relief to Premmie in terms of threat level. Look, going from a middle of the pack team in Pacific and then qualifying as the final seed of Pacific in the Champions is commendable, but there's a whole leap of faith in asking me to believe that they can beat a legacy team in Masters Madrid winning Sentinels, Masters winning core of Gen.G, and what looks to be the cleanest team in America in NRG. This tournament is going to be tough, and it will take Premmie to step up to that level of Kangkang or Aspas to prove that this team can contend. Show me why you kept this roster, because I do want to believe. Sen City has been burning red with excitement in this off-season. Saying goodbye to TenZ and Saucy was a sad sight to see, but adding Bang and Narrate was a welcome change too. I made a whole video talking about the changes that you can check out here. So a like and sub for more videos always helps out a lot. Now, Sentinels have continued their philosophy of playing in the off-season tournament as much as possible. And gosh darn it, Mom, can we have the Red Bull home ground for dinner? No, sweetie, we have the Red Bull home ground tournament at home. And then it's just the Sen City Classic. I'm kidding. The Sen City Classic was one of the best things in the off-season, where we saw the new roster finally play against other tier 1 teams, and they looked really good. They beat C9 and Evil Geniuses, but faltered twice against NRG in their own tournament. More on that later. Sentinels were experimenting a bit with their roles for each of the players, so maybe them losing the tournament was just because they were trying different things. Still, I think they're one of the most well-rounded rosters in all of VCT as of right now. This will be their first time playing together on an international stage, and I think they will do well. There are some teams on here that they should definitely beat, and others that they might struggle with. I know for a fact their fan base has high expectations for them to beat Gen.G and get some revenge on NRG. But only watching them play in this tournament will give us an actual scale of how good they truly are. For now, expectations are high, and I think Sentinels will meet them regardless. I truly had zero expectations for this roster, and even thought that they might be middle of the pack this year. But unlike last year, the team actually signed up in some off-season tournaments. Picking up Mada and Verno was what I was most skeptical about. But under the leadership of Bankar, they seem to be firing on all cylinders. For goodness sake, even FNS got a new aim coach, and what the fuck? He's top fragging? Nah, this is some fourth horseman of the apocalypse type shit, because this man is 32 years old. Not even an unk, a whole ass grandpa of VCT is out aiming these 18 to 24 year olds. Now that is crazy. NRG hardly struggled in the Sen City Classic. The most they did was because of Superman and Derek popping off. And versus C9, it was because of Zeppa having one of his Gardner Minshew games to show that he's a high-end talent, only to be a paycheck thief for the rest of the season. In any case, NRG looked the best that I've ever seen them. This is no longer Optic Gaming with an identity issue. This is a whole new unit of players in the roles that actually fit them. And honestly, it is such a nice payoff to see Som and FNS actually have a nice team that will be able to perform. My bar after the Sen City Classic is set incredibly high. Now, with all the international events, and even though it is the off season, I realize they can go up or down in terms of realistic expectations. But much like Sentinels last year, if they can bring the trophy home, this sets them up to be one of the best America's teams right now at the start of the season. And Lord, if they're good during the season, you know what that means. NRG are going to Masters! Oh god, you mean to tell me I have to watch the rematch between NRG and Bilibili again? Well, let me see what's changed since Champions and now. I'm glad to see Knight, Whyz, and Neff still be the core of the team. They were good enough to qualify for Champions, but they have made 2 changes since then. The additions of Russia and Levius to the roster. Russia is playing the Smokes role, and Levius is playing the Flex role, and based on the results from the FGC Invitationals, they're doing pretty good, beating Bili Bili Gaming, Nova, and Wolves. So much like NRG, and beating a lot of teams in the regional talent, they're also coming into this tournament undefeated. But this actually might be a pretty hype game this off-season. Not only for the rematch implications between one of the best memes in the VCT space, but because both rosters are looking to break out of the shadow of the failures from last year within their region. Bilibili is not really in anyone's conversation to win anything, but much like the older brothers in EDG and the rest of China, I think they're slowly improving and could be a silent killer like the last time they played NRG. Yep, you saw that right, not MIBR, MITH, or Made in Thailand. Beat Beaver 41, Team NKT, and Zellsis to qualify for the SOOP Valorant League in the Thailand Open qualifier. While on the surface this might not look like a crazy team, they did make it to the VCL Thailand Grand Finals, where they fell short of beating Full Sense for the Ascension spot. The team has a lot of recognizable names, but not because of who they are, more because they're all a reference to some other character. Killua being the flex player on ISO and Gecko, but also a reference to Hunter x Hunter. Kaboom being the duelist, Laz, and no, not the Zeta Division Laz, this is a Thai Laz being the Sentinel. Sephiroth being the controller, and no, again, not the Final Fantasy character. And finally, the one you've been waiting for this entire time, CGRS. And no, not Paper Rex wait, actually, it is actually Paper Rex CGRS, who is now playing with Myth. Cool. Now, regardless, this team seems to be pretty okay. They're pretty good in the Challengers League and even were able to beat Full Sense recently, so they're showing some signs of improvement. I don't think that they'll be able to win, but then again, we could see another Cove incident happen again. Just please, God, not against NRG. Here's hoping it doesn't. Rapid Lofi is the team that qualified via the Vietnam qualifier, beating Original Gaming and Fancy United. They were scheduled to play a third match against Team Lazy, but unfortunately they were not able to play, so it was a forfeit. Rapid Lofi is a challengers team that did qualify for the Ascenders tournament, but were quickly beaten by Revenant Esports and Justice for Tomorrow. Their players are Daft as the duelist, Prodigy at the flex, Tripsu and Albus on Sentinel Smokes, and Suka as the initiator. Rapid Lofi in their latest match in the challengers did play their substitute Jin in a match against Neon and Yoru, so they might play him in the SOOP Invitational as well. This team has the most bullying potential, unfortunately. They are talented enough to qualify for Ascensions, but some of their roster moves and some of their compositions have my head scratching as to what exactly they're doing, and based on their last 5 matches, it doesn't look great. It's going to be a tough tournament playing against top teams, so I wouldn't expect much from these guys. Okay, so here is my bracket for Group A of the SOOP Valorant Invitational, and I have Gen.G against Sentinels, and I have Gen.G winning, like, very close match. I have Made in Thailand versus Talon Esports. I have Talon winning. I think Premmie is pretty good, so he should be able to carry his team to that victory. Then on the elimination match, I have Sentinels versus Made in Thailand. Sentinels going to win that. I think it'll be pretty easy victory for them. And then on the winners bracket, we have Gen.G versus Talon. I have Gen.G winning that one, maybe like a 2-0, either that or a 2-1 where like one of the maps is not very close. And then on the decider match, we have Talon versus Sentinels. And my hot take is, if it goes to this point, I think Talon could sneak in like a sneaky victory in there. So yeah, sorry to all the Sentinels fans that are disappointed that I chose Talon over Sentinels, but I think it would be cool to see, you know, Talon kind of rise up to be a much better team. What do I think it's realistically going to happen? No, but this is my hot take of the entire tournament. I want to have one just so it's not like the same as everybody else's brackets, you know? I could easily have just done Gen.G Sentinels, move on, and, you know, whatever fashion. This is far more entertaining. For Group B, I have obviously NRG against Rapid Lofi. I think it's going to be a massacre. I think NRG are going to destroy Rapid Lofi. I mean, I could be eating my words here in like less than a week, so we'll see. Then I have DRX versus Bilibili Gaming. DRX is clearly the much better team. They've already defeated teams like Gen.G. And I think they're just solid after watching like more footage of them. They're much more solid than I think Bilibili are. Bilibili, this is kind of like a mini update to the haters guide, but Bilibili just lost 2 of their games in the Asia Invitational, so not looking quite as strong as I thought they were. Elimination match, Rapid Lofi versus Bilibili Gaming. I have Bilibili Gaming winning, and you guys will see why in a second. NRG versus DRX. I have DRX winning by the skin of their teeth in a banger match. It's going to be DRX moving on. And then on the decider match, I have NRG versus Bilibili, because that is what everybody wants to see out of this tournament. We don't want to go without watching the rematch of the ages. So I have NRG beating Bilibili Gaming here, and they qualify as like the last one. I think that's the last one. I could be wrong. Depends on the scheduling. But yeah, DRX, NRG from Group B. So hopefully I did a good job catching you up on everything that's been going on in the offseason for the teams participating in the SOOP Valorant Invitational. A like and subscribe is always appreciated if you did enjoy this video, and I will have more videos coming in the future. You should be looking for the Haters Guide to VCT Americas, EMEA, Pacific, not China, because I don't know anything about China. But I do know that it should be a great year for Valorant. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.